Hi guys, let's do removing stars from a string. So we're given a string S which contains stars, and in one operation we can choose a star in S, remove the closest non-star character to its left as well as the star itself, and then return the string after all stars have been removed. So they say the input will be generated such that the operation is always possible, and it can be shown that the resulting string will always be unique. So we're given some examples down here where in example 1, S equals this string, and we output this as a result because performing from removals from left to right, the closest character to the first star is this T. So we remove T and the star here, which then it becomes this. And then, so let's do that. So we remove T and this star. So then we're left with this. And then we remove E with the next star, because this is the next star, so we remove the one right before it. And then we're left with that. And then we remove the last star with the D in front of it. So then we're left with this, and that is what we return. And then in example 2, we remove the E with this star, so we're left with this. And then we remove the S with the next star, so we're left with that. And then we remove A with the next star, so we have that. Remove R with the star, we're left with this, and then we remove E and the last star, and we're left with an empty string, which is what we return. So in this problem, we're going to want to loop through the string, visiting every single character, and we're going to want to check if the current character we're at is a star. If it is, then we're going to want to, so as we loop through the string, actually, we're going to want to push every character onto a stack. That way, when we reach a star, we can check our stack's last character to delete it. So when we reach a star, we're going to remove the last character on our stack, and then we're going to keep moving along. So every time we encounter a star, we'll remove from the stack, and then we'll add everything else as we go. So then whatever's left on our stack, we are going to return. And again, because we're returning a string, it's going to be much easier to just use a string builder instead of a stack, but just implement it as we would a stack. So we can have a string builder, which will start out as empty, and we'll loop through our string S. And I'll just put 0 for 10 because, So we'll start at index 0, and this is just an L, so we'll just add it to our stack. Then we have an E at index 1, so we'll add that to our stack. At index 2, we have another E, so we'll add that. At index 3, we have a T, so we'll add that. And then index 4 is where we encounter our first star. So because we have a star, we will remove the last character on our stack, and then we'll keep going. So at index 5, we have another star, so we'll remove another character off of our stack. Then at index 6, we have a C, so we'll add the C. At index 7, we have at O, so we add the O. At index 8, we have a D, so we add D. And then at index 9, we have a star, so we'll remove a character from the end. And then we have an E at index 10, so we'll add the E, and then this is what we'll return as a string. So let's initialize our string builder. And then we're going to want to loop through our string S. And then we'll just assign a character to our current character. So char at I. Okay, and then we're going to check, so first of all, if our stack or string builder is empty, then we'll just directly add letters onto our stack or characters or whatever. So if, we'll just add that. And then otherwise, if it's not empty, then we're going to want to check if our current character is a star or not. So if it's not a star, we'll just add the character onto our string builder. If it is a star, then we will remove a character. So if C is a star, then we'll delete the last character. And if it's not a star, then we will add that character. And then we'll do this for the entire string. And then once we reach the end, then we're just going to return our string builder, but as a string. So, okay, and then our time complexity here is O of n, where n is the number of characters in our string S, because when we loop through the string, we're going to visit every single character once. which we can see that we do here in this for loop. So this is our only loop. And then our space complexity is also O of n because we have a string builder that we're adding each character onto. So worst case, if there's no stars, then we're adding every single character onto the stack. And we also add each character into a string to return. So that's all O of n. So that is it for this problem. Thank you guys for watching and let me know what I should do next. Thanks, bye.